Today we're going to talk about the church, the project, where are we, small little brief of history. Sarah, go next. Okay, so that's today's discussion. We're gonna talk about some brief history, some project, who is the project team, who's taking care of what, the project status, where are we, where we going, and what our hope is, and all of the above. Milestones, of course, like what are the schedule for where we're going to be or where we're going to actually have a foot in the new church and stuff like that. And we have a new thing called the construction monitoring, and we're going to talk about that. Sarah, go next. Okay, for history, go. We purchased the land in 2014. Next. We certified the land. It took a lot to actually certify the land to be a church building. If you talked about a warehouse, that would have taken like 3 days to get it certified for that. For a church building, obviously, it took like about 6 to 8 months. We sold the old church in 2017, the church that we are in right now, Sarah. We completed the architecture design in 2017, with some caveat to that. We interviewed the local contractors, and we made the selection. And I just like to give a little hint about our selection for the contractor. Our contractor is called A.D. Miller. He is the one that actually built and is still building. He built in the past about 12 churches in the Denver metro area and wide area. And he is doing 2 churches right now. And he's really specializing for building churches, meeting halls, and exhibit type of buildings. So he is a very good contractor. The project team, from St. Mark, we have the project members, Father Yaqub, Magdi Bkhit, Yahya Yaqub. For the project management, Ashraf Yaqub, وعندنا myself for engineering. Ashraf, little money and finance, and basically if you watch Naguib al-Rayhani movie, when he say Marzouk Afandi اديله حاجة, that's basically Ashraf is. I tell him Marzouk Afandi اديله حاجة and he pays. For the companies that actually involve with us is the engineering disciplines, architecture, that's number 1, and that's our architect Nabil Mijalli, civil site CVAS engineering, and that's Steve Strickland, landscape architect, that was Natural Design Solutions, photometric plan, that's EV Studios, that's Kelly Hannigan, and geotech, and that was ground engineering Amy Crandall, structure engineer is Mike Webb, MEP stands for mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineering company, and that's Thompson Engineering, and the lady in charge is Mackenzie Burge. The contractor is A.D. Miller. So a lot of you are going to think, why the heck did we need the landscape architects? Why did we need a photometric type of design? That's actually required by the city in order to give us a building permit and to certify our whole project for construction. They need a complete plan for landscape. They need a complete plan for what's called photometry. Photometry, if you're not involved with it or if you're not familiar with it, it's our parking lot. How is it going to be led, and what is that going to be effect? What's the effect of it, the lead, to the rest of the streets and the whole area of landscape and stuff like that. Go ahead. This is basically, I don't want to bother you with too many pictures of drawings or something like that, but that's our final design. We enter, if by chance anybody wants to go over all the drawings, please let me know and I'll send them a copy of what we have so far being approved. We entered the church, as you see, On the left, we have an office. On the right, we have a kitchen. We're not really going to call it kitchen. We're going to call it a warming place. Go to the main lobby. On the right, we have the cry room along with the multi-purpose room. If we're going to have a meeting, if we're going to have a banquet, if we this, if we that. And that is actually a temporary thing until we come with phase 2 to do a multi-purpose building, a service building. بيسموه في مصر مبنى الخدمات اللي هو بيبقى فيه كل الخدمات التانية. On the left you have the baptistry, and that's on the northeast. And then you have 3 Sunday school classes. Then you're going to wind up with the bathrooms, ladies and men's. And then there are 2 rooms. They open to the outside, and they are the sprinkler and actually the electrical room. We have a small room for janitorial type of thing, like cleaning and stuff like that. And we also have a fountain in the hallway where you have the classrooms. Like I'm saying, if you want a lot more details on the building, how is it going to be set up and how is it going to be laid out, please contact me. Then we go into the main sanctuary, which we will have about that building is altogether about 8,700 square foot. And that seats about 300 people, give and take. We're going to apply for the occupancy certificate for 300 people. Hopefully we'll reach that number one day. And then you go up where the deacons seatings, and then you have 3 altars, one of course in the middle, which is the main altar, and you have 2 other altars on the sides. On the left side all the way, we have small little bathroom, and I think we explained that before. On the right side, we have the deacon's dressing room, and also you see a small little room with the door, and that's going to have some sort of the IT room, otherwise the network server, the sound system, and all of that stuff going to be in that room. We will have definitely AV system, audio video system. So that will be ready 100% if we need a good presentation, if we need a good, whatever the case is, instead of what we're doing today, that will be automatically set to go with connections and everything to a big, nice, wide screen. So that was the building layout. And again, if anybody wants, 1 second, we'll go to questions. We'll go to questions all the way at the end, please. So this is what we have for building. If you need more details on the building, for any of you that really wants to look at the structural, likes to look at the electrical plan, the plumbing plan, the HVAC, how the air conditioning is, all of that stuff, please contact me and I will be more than happy to give you everything. The project status. The project status right now, we submitted the final development plan on April to the City of Centennial for approval and received the following. We received the Stormwater Public Improvement Permit called SPIP approval. And next, we received also the permanent drainage easement approval, and that turned out to be actually a lot of headaches. Finally, we got it approved. The private site design improvement plan. And what that means is actually the city wants to know if this church or if this building is really related to the other surrounding area, and how we're going to develop the area to actually have more of an attractive city overall. I mean, if you read what the actual private site plan design improvement, it's actually a lot of conditions, a lot of uh, things to follow and all of that stuff. Finally, we got that approved. What's pending now for approvals? Go ahead, sir. The fire department did not give us his blessing yet. The fire department has to make sure that we have enough exits, or God forbid if we have some sort of a fire or something like that, they will be able to come in, access our site with their fire engines, easy enough, go in and go out, and without any kind of hazardous or problems with that surrounding area. So the fire department has to have its approval. They are late a little bit because, of course, again, that's stuff like we cannot do anything about. We're still also waiting for the Southeast Metro Storm Water Authority, SEMSWA, and that is actually going to decide, do we need, they're going to look at the building, the design, they're going to look at the fixtures of the bathrooms and then they're going to decide, do we need 1.5 inches of water supply pipe or 2 inches? Well, not big difference, but the problem is the price is $200,000 extra. So we hope we eliminated a lot of the stuff. That's why we took a little bit of time to revise the architectural plan to actually get to the point that we do have kind of what we actually need for water supply, so we can go to 1.5 inch pipe instead of 2 inches. Again, 2 inches is going to cost us about $200,000. So that's still in the approval. The last approval is called Arapahoe County Water and Waste Authority, AQUA. And that is the one that is going to decide, you guys getting water from us, and. Are you going to kind of dispense all this water in which fashion and which way? And where is your, for an example, storm water? How are you going to do that? So we have a plan for that. How are you going to do the heavy snowstorm if it comes in? Do you have a place to actually pile the snow and then transfer it easy enough off-site or what? So we have answered all these questions, and we actually kind of succeeded of get to their rules and requirements and adhere to everything that they wanted. So far I think we are doing okay. We're just waiting for this approval. Design completion, and that is a very important thing. That's why it came out a little bit slow. Last Monday, if I'm not mistaken, we had, in order to do an actual review, as any of the engineers around here know, and it has a multi-discipline drawing, specs, calculation, and all of this, you have to have all disciplines. What I mean by disciplines is mechanical, electrical, plumbing, structural, architectural, and whatever is involved. HVAC, of course. So we cannot, or any engineer knows that you will not be able to actually review and okay something unless you see if it really matches and agrees with the rest of the disciplines. So last Monday, we finally had engineering drawings, specs, and calculations for all disciplines, what I mentioned before. And it was the project committee, and we all sat down with the contractor, and we had some comments. Do this here, move that there, go ahead and make that a little bit bigger, make that smaller, we need the air conditioning this and that, and we made all the comments that actually made sense, and everyone in the committee, along with the contractor, agreed on that 100%. So that design review took place last Wednesday, actually. And then we go ahead. The design comments, all the comments that we submitted they were submitted to the contractor for implementation by all engineering disciplines. So now it's time for all the engineers, the mechanical, electrical, structure, and all of those to actually implement our comments that will finalize the drawings, the specs, specifications, and the calculations, so we can actually submit final drawings and related documents to the city for certification of construction, so we can get our permit to actually start construction. Go ahead, Sarah. The implementation completion of the 100% certified for construction is due at end of October. We gave the engineers little time so they can actually, before, for an example, the architect, before he implement our comments, he will do it, but he will send it to the other guys so they can say, yes, that will work for us or not. For an example, we have a kitchen. We started to see that connection between the kitchen and the multi-purpose room was not that great. So we came up with some solution that will make everybody's happy. So we finished with that. So the architect will implement that, but again, will send, for an example, in this specific case, because it's going to be a big opening in the kitchen, so he's going to send that to the mechanical engineer to decide if the HVAC volume for the kitchen or the multi-purpose room is going to be affected or not. Stuff like that that we have to be counting for, and we do not want to kind of do any kind of shortcuts. We need to be reasonable enough with the money, but at the same time, no shortcuts for safety or building constructability. Constructability means the contractor is going to take it and say, yes, this is something usual that I can do. The worst case scenario when the contractor comes to tell you, this I cannot do, I never did anything like that before, so the price goes up, and we don't want that. One of the things, of course, is the dome. The dome is something not many contractors do, but finally we came to a good solution. Milestones. Milestones, obtaining grading utility and erosion control, they call the GESC, and that is mid-September, we hope, of this year. So that's, again, another 2-3 weeks from now, we should get that permit. What did that permit means? That permit means we can start dig in ground. We can start put the first shovel in ground and start to do the grading plan that we actually planned for, and do the sidewalks, the utilities, and all of that stuff without the building foundation. And I'm going to come to that. First construction activity, grading and utilities, that's mid-October 2018. Obtaining building permit, and that's the biggest thing. The building permit, we have, like I said before, we have to have all the drawings from all disciplines approved, signed, and certified by the city, and then we get the building permit, and then the contractor starts actually dig for foundations and piers and all of that stuff. So we hope to get the mid-November, we should get the building permit. Okay, start building construction, that's mid to end of November 2018. And by the way, I'm exaggerating a little bit. I mean, we hope that it will be a lot better than that, and I think the contractor gave us a little bit better dates than this, but I actually go like a couple weeks ahead, so just in case, you know, things happen and delays happen, so we will, I'm counting for this. So I'm giving you the not so optimistic dates. Optimistic dates is, you know, it's kind of walk on water, if you want to call it, but we'll try the best. Start the building construction in mid and end of November 2018. Construction completion and occupancy, that's 2019 on August. So we hope like around this time, we will pray in our new church. That being said, it's not really like impossible that things will happen, such as what? Anybody heard of force majeures? No? It means things you cannot actually, it's not in your hand, it's not in the contractor's hand, it's in God's hand. A huge snowstorm for the next 3 weeks. What are you going to do about it? For example, fire restriction for such and such. City, another thing that actually kind of little bit not very good in Centennial, that it's a new city for the past, what? For the past, I would say 10 years, something like that. They don't have enough inspectors. So that means in any stage of our construction stages, we have to call the city ahead of the time. We said, hey, by next couple weeks, we're going to be ready to check our prisms of the compaction of the soil. And we need you to come in and take a sample, send it to the lab for the proctor, for the sand cone, for the nuclear test, and. That inspector, from what I heard so far, is they are limited on the inspection, on the inspectors' numbers. So we hope that we give them enough time, enough head of the schedule time, so they can actually be available for us and do inspection time. Because sometimes there are a lot of stages in construction that you cannot move to the next stage until you actually get approval from the city that this was okay and it was done to the standards of the city. So that's what I'm saying. The hope is we get that in time, but again, there are minor adjustments and could be bad events that is not in our hand that actually get in the way. One thing we made kind of very good, because I want everybody in church to be actually involved with this project. So we made an agreement. We made an agreement with the contractor that he's going to place high-resolution cameras that will be actually linked to a network and a website that anybody in our church can actually ask us for login, and we will give him the login. He will create his or her own username, password, and will be able to actually look at the project while it's being built 24 hours, 7 days a week. So this is something new that I actually wanted all our church members to be involved of watching what's going on. That being said, the one last thing I'm going to say, please be patient with us a little bit. Believe me, we're doing our best, and we are trying to get our project up and running and completed by the exact date we're talking about. We're going to have a little bit of hard time here between this church, the next church, and the next church. And we will try to just go along with that. But overall, believe me, we are doing our best. And this is not the first time that a church project actually gets kind of long duration to be completed. St. Mary in Atlanta, I was part of the group also. It took 10 years to build the church. They were also started in a basement, and they were praying in a basement for about 6-7 years, and finally they built the big church about 10 years from that day. St. Mary in Miami, they still praying, and they have a beautiful piece of land. They still praying in this, what's called the service building. And when I asked Abuna over there, I said, Abuna, you have a beautiful church. He goes, no, this is not the church. This is actually the service building. I said, how about the church? He said, oh, we've been trying to get that going for the past 6-7 years, and we don't have it. St. Mary Colleyville. It took us 3 years to build a service building. And that's not an excuse for us, for our duration, but I'm just saying that, believe me, we are working very hard. We are monitoring and trying to coordinate between all activities so we can reach our goal and milestone of construction. At this time, I talked enough. I hope it was only 15, 20 minutes. Any questions? Amel? I'm sorry? Oh, financing. Financing at this time, we are hoping we're going to get the full. I really didn't want to talk about finance for one reason, that when we get the full estimate from the contractor, we will definitely give that to the whole congregation and tell them that's what the cost is going to be. That's what we have, that's in the bank, and that's what we're going to have. At this time, we are kind of very sure, I would say, that we will be at our goal, of course, with everybody's help and everybody's, donations and prayers, more important than help. But we will get the estimates, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ashraf. فين أشرف؟ مرزوق أفندي قوم اتكلم. هناخد 2.4 million in the bank. You didn't say billion, you said million. Okay, because I heard that. Okay. So 2.4 million in the bank. And what do you say, Ashraf? Mid-September, that's what we will have, the complete full estimate. And that will be like carving on a stone. We're not going to deviate from that, I hope.
So is the church multi-level or is it
Just one single level at this time. That's what we can afford. We had before the drawings to have a first floor and a basement, and we found out that we're going to go over $5.5 to $6 million. It's going to be one floor, but the second phase, we hope, when we get the money, we're going to go on with a complete service building that will be multi-stories, will have a nice multi-purpose room, hall, catering kitchen. I mean, it will be very, very nice. But again, at this time, we need to put our foot in our church that is going to be our home. Other questions?
Yes, I have a question. You know the construction that you have every, and you said that there is a bathroom in the end near the altar. This is, for me, it's kind of weird that you get.
Okay.
Is it just a sink or a bathroom?
No, it's actually a bathroom, Amel, and I'll tell you why. There were requests from few people that we should actually have some. I need to get you back to the plan. Sarah, can you get me back to the plan? Or actually, no, forget it. The thing is, Amel, that we have that a must go means our elderly, our father, if he wants to go to the bathroom during service, he doesn't want to go all the way to the end of the, to the church. And that is not for general use. That's for must go use. So it's not really open to the altar. There is a room in between. There's a room in between the altar and the bathroom. So again, I'm going to show you the Naam? I will send it to email to you. Okay. The only thing, I don't have your email, so I'm not gonna send it to you. All right. Tony, you're a great engineer. Comments, please.
I know it's a big
It's the most painful, by the way.
I wonder, per square foot on average, like construction from the contractor, the builder contractor, where does that put us in terms of what?
Unfortunately, there is a lot of odds in our building, a lot. So you cannot judge it by square footage. And we can only say that once we get the final estimate. We say we have 8,700 square foot, and it's going to cost that much, plus landscape, plus lighting plan, plus all of that stuff. But at this time, I mean, a lot of people thought exactly like what you're saying is, how much is the square foot, dollar-wise? And that doesn't work at all for our church. Give you an example. When you build a house, the contractor will tell you, I'm going to get like $125 square foot, right? He goes and he actually manages his project to match the $125 per square foot. But what he doesn't go through, because that's already at the developer, is the geotech report, for an example. So if the geotech came out and it has some bust, it has expansive soil, or actually the opposite way, you need to treat the soil. But the contractor, for an example, he does not count for this because it's already with the developer. When you are a developer and you go buy a piece of land to actually build some houses on it, you get the geotech report the very first thing before that. Us, we don't have a developer. We are the developers, so we had to do that. So there is a lot of things that are not counted to the equation of how much per square foot.
To meet the deadline, if we are short on money, is there options to like maybe do something different with the dome? I envision the dome is fairly unique and quite expensive addition architecturally. Is there options where we can shortcut that, make that a cheaper approach for now or whatever to meet the deadline and with our money in hand?
Actually, I can let Ashraf talk about that, but at the same time, to cut anything architecturally at this time, once we get the building permit, is gonna cost us a lot more, because there is something called DCN, Design Change Notice. If you change anything from the design that you got approved for from the city, that's gonna require something called DCN, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that. A DCN, Design Change Notice. You have to put the new drawing. Why did we cancel that big room and we made a wall instead? Why did we add a window? Believe me, that the requirements, it's amazing. But to answer back your question, the only thing at this time, we're not going to stop construction. I don't think. We will not stop construction because we ran out of money or we're a little short on money. But at this time, I'm very sure that we either go for a loan or we ask for more donations, or, I mean, I have to tell you, I don't have a crystal ball, but it's, at that time, I agree with you, it's not very well planned for the money, but what the money we have right now, we're going to start work with, and if it takes that we had to have a loan, more donations, whatever the case is, at that time I think we can manage, but we're not going to stop construction. My goal is to get these dates in the actual milestones, the one I mentioned before.
So Ashraf, I assume you're not going to start or sign the contract until you have final numbers, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So before we start, we'll know what...
I just got to give you a little bit of hint about this contractor. This contractor has been working with us since December 2017. Have you met him?
No, not personally.
Okay. I'd like you to come and meet him one time because you'll really be impressed. This guy, he told us, I'm going to do the coordination of everything along with me, working with me, without even signing a contract. Now, he said, you guys give me the contract, just like all the other churches. I will work with you and I'll consider all the help I did during design and permit approval and get all these paperwork. I'll take that $10,000. But if you give me the contract, this $10,000 will go away. So, and we definitely need to have him as our general contractor. He's very, very impressive guy. Very impressive guy.
Yeah, I'm not commenting on the contract.
You twisted half first and half when you finish. We didn't give him any money to do the whole work he did.
Yeah. So far, he did not ask for a penny. And he is working with us just like he's the owner of this actual church, believe it or not. He said, this is my project, and I'll be proud to make that project perfect because it's going to be, a very good on his resume, put it this way. How many contractors in Denver or in Colorado will have a building with a dome and couple towers and tons of crosses and stuff like that? Not many. I told him you don't have to actually build a mosque after this, and he said he got a couple of them, so hopefully he will not. Other questions? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys. In the name of God the Father, the grace is in the name of the Son, the communion of the Holy Spirit be with you, the heart and peace. May the peace of God be with you.